Hey lovelies, I'm Flair, but you can call me Faye. Welcome and let's get started. So today I'm going to be showing you all of the Art Fight reference sheets I created and talking about them and the characters. So first I started with Aaron because I have a child favoritism, and Aaron is the main character of my work in progress webcomic Spark. They are the OC that I draw the most and the OC that I've had for the longest time. They've been here with me for about 4 to 5 years now, and I love them very much. If you haven't seen any of my past video, you probably don't know Aaron's history. They used to be a self-insert My Hero Academia Mary Sue OC. It's kind of a lot to unpack, but that's not what we're here for right now. I would like to say that Aaron took the longest or shortest amount of time because they're my favorite, but in reality, they ended up just being an average time about 7 hours. I would also like to say that they were my favorite to draw, but that would also be a lie, because some silly little cat guy that I barely cared about before came out of nowhere and had to be so stinking fun to draw. But anyways, Aaron is dressed up in their normal fit of a crocheted yellow tank top, baggy patched pants, ridiculously tall platform shoes that they do not freaking need because they are 6'5" tall, and 3 necklaces. I have a few other details, such as Aaron's bandage covering up an arm scar, along with 2 other scars, one that's visible that's on their back, and another that you can't see that's on their upper thigh. How did they get those scars? You, the dear viewer, might be asking. I legitimately have no idea. Their lore is just a bunch of silly little trauma bits that I have been sloshing around in the empty thing I call my brain. But I'm working on it. I do want to keep some of their past more of a secret because I have plans for my future webcomic, so look out for that. But anyways, back to the actual reference sheet. I tried to make sure that I added enough notes and different views so that you could get a good reference of Aaron. So I drew them first with a full body in front and back view, then just the head in front and side view. Like I said before, I'm making this for Art Fight, and as you can see on your calendar that you probably have on like your phone or something, I don't know, it is a few days since Art Fight has started. And you might be wondering how it is going for moi, a small creator who just likes drawing silly little guys and is very, very new to Art Fight, only starting this year. Well, it's been going. I did recently just get my first defense. Is that what it's called? Someone drew me an art of my character. So would that be a defense? And I've only attacked once so far, but I'm cooking up another piece of art. Things have been kind of a lot for me this summer, and I'm trying not to burn myself out. I already had to shorten the amount of character ref sheets that I was going to make because I was just struggling really badly, and since I was doing mostly just digital art, I wasn't feeling good about my art when it was more ugly and sketchy. But I'm starting to draw on my sketchbook again, thanks to some very silly guys and gals that I will talk about later. But hopefully I can get out of this rut and get back to attacking. As you can probably see in the video, I am now doing the line art for Aaron's rough sheet. Done with the line art, sorry. And I will be going in with color soon. Coloring these rough sheets was interesting, to say the least. I kept switching around how I was doing it, but I did like how these all turned out. I had a lot of fun with one OC in particular, but we will get to them later. Like I said before, Aaron is the main character of my work in progress webcomic, but you probably don't know much about them. Aaron is a 16-year-old elf who comes from a long line of bards. They are the oldest of 9 children, and their parents died in an accident on Aaron's 13th birthday. Whoa, that's a vibe. But on a happier note, I do want to say that my work-in-progress webcomic is both a fantasy action-adventure story, but also a romance. And I know a lot of you guys love romance. Like a lot of you guys. Aaron's recording is probably the longest, even though they took one of the shortest amount of time to make. Even Procreate has OC favoritism. I did love working on these reference sheets, and it'll be very helpful to have once I start actually making my webcomic. I'm trying to plan it to start up this year, and I want to get a page done about every 2 weeks, at least for the beginning. I will definitely try to record and live stream stuff about the process of making Spark, and I hope that anyone who watches them likes seeing the creation of a story that is very near and dear to my heart. There's still a lot to work on story and design-wise, particularly the main antagonist. I'll explain a bit more about Spark later and how I plan to go about the creation progress, but for now, we will get back to the art at hand. I'm now blocking in the colors of Aaron's clothing, then I shall move on to shading. Although this rough sheet wasn't my favorite, I still really enjoyed the process of thinking about what details I should highlight or make more visible for others to see rather than myself. I was originally just going to use the base and the outfit that I made in one of my other videos. Please check that one out. It was a lot of fun to make. But then I decided that I should redraw Aaron in a pose that captures their personality more. So then I drew this. I, for some reason, have had a really hard time with drawing Aaron recently. So even for this reference sheet that is definitely not my best work, really filled me with joy. Which is kind of funny because Aaron's the main character, so I should be having the easiest time drawing them. I don't think I made their design too complicated. I actually gave the rest of the main cast more details or harder things to draw because they'll show up a lot less than Aaron. I think it's just Aaron's face shape. I can never get the eyes to look right with them. But I'll keep drawing them and then I can draw them better. After all, practice promotes precision. That was a line I just made up. I literally have never said that in my life before. Nevertheless, I really enjoyed the process of creating these character rough sheets. Oh, also, for anyone who doesn't know what rough sheets are, they're just the shortened version of reference sheets, which are the image of a character that you can reference on to draw or 3D model or whatever you want to do with it. But after just a few more adjustments to the base, it is time to move on to the next reference sheet. Let's go! So this next character is my character Emera, but please call him M. He is my very silly guy and is the other main character of my work-in-progress comic, Spark. I feel like I've said work-in-progress webcomic a lot in this video. I don't want to just say it's my webcomic because it makes me feel like it's already being made and uploaded somewhere, and I don't want to lie to y'all. So I'm going to keep calling it my work-in-progress webcomic. Sorry for that tangent. Let's get back to the video. I recently have liked to make my screen darker or a different color to be easier on my eyes, and then I like to sketch with the Procreate Technical Pen, the lowered opacity, normally in a dark purplish blue. Okay, real talk time. I did a lot of experimenting with some of my art process while making these, but I kind of regret doing them the way that I did. I tried to implement stylistic choices that some of my favorite art creators make, but I didn't stick with trying them out the whole time, and because of how much digital art I was drawing, this just wasn't a good time for me to be experimenting with my stylistic choices. But now that the bars of my Artfight rough sheets hold me no longer, I shall rejoice in getting to experiment with my art style and creation process. Okay, real talk over now. Back to silly little guys. Or are they silly? Dun dun dun! But no, seriously, back to the art. This ref sheet is a bit different from the other ref sheets because I drew 2 different full bodies. Before I explain why, I just want to place a little spoiler warning here if you want to be mostly surprised when I talk about my webcomic more in its own videos. So go to this timestamp if you want to avoid spoilers. I'll give you a few seconds. Okay, a little bit of spoilers here, but my character M is trans, but will only become trans later into the story, so I drew a before and after. The before is of M before the question goes on. She's still kind of in a toxic situation and doesn't really have any support in her life, but as the story goes on, she connects with others. He unlocks a part of himself he never thought about before. For Art Fight, I really wanted to get some art of M before and after his transition, so I did put the extra work to make both full bodies in this sheet. I stuck with just before close-ups though, because it was easier. This reference sheet took significantly longer than Aaron's, seeing as I drew 2 different full bodies, so this took around 10 hours compared to Aaron's 7 hours. I really enjoyed getting to draw this ref sheet though. I've kind of been on an M high because I've just found them so fun to draw recently. I've even started multiple animatics about or with M in it. And let me tell you, I am not an animator. I would love to be in the future, but I've been really happy with how these animatics are turning out so far. I will be sure to post them once I finish, but it'll be a bit late due to Art Fight, hilariously. This was kind of a last-minute decision. I'm also a really bad procrastinator, so me getting even 6 ref sheets done in like a week or 2 was awesome. I can see why I kind of lost my momentum the farther I went in. I do want to talk a bit more about Aaron and M, more specifically their character dynamic. Aaron is a very energetic, spontaneous, and charismatic elf. Aaron also has ADHD, so they have a few issues and stuff, especially in relation to others. Aaron also has dyslexia, but they are still very, very intelligent and pretty good at school. M is very intelligent, strict, and pretty cold, especially in the beginning of the story. But when Aaron and M first meet, M shows kind of an immediate disgust or hate towards Aaron. It takes Aaron a while to figure out why, and Aaron and M get put into every class, lunch, and dorm room together. Wild, huh? This might have been a mistake, or it could have been fate. M spends all her time where she's not studying to hate Aaron and to make rude remarks and comments towards them. Aaron at first assumed that it was because they're in the LGBTQ+ community, but after meeting M's best friends, they realized that was not the case. Then they thought it was because of their ADHD and dyslexia, but that also wasn't the case. They found out M also has dyslexia, which was interesting because she's very, very good at school and loves reading and writing in particular. Aaron couldn't think of a single reason why M would hate them so much until they overheard a phone call that M was having with her parents. Aaron is magicless, or at the very least, non-proficient with their magic. They can barely cast a simple bard spell, which is what they are. They're a bard, and they don't even have enough natural magic to use the abilities that they were born with. And the school that Aaron and M meet each other at is called IMEC, which stands for the Institution for Magically Enhanced Children. So, kids with more magic than usual go there. So, why is Aaron there? Well, I'm not telling. That's way too big of a spoiler. But Aaron being magicless is something I want to show right at the beginning of the webcomic. So this is why I'm okay with telling it now. We will be in Aaron's point of view for almost the entire comic, but I do have plans for a few chapters to be in the POV of our second main character, M. Since I want to introduce the quest aspect almost immediately, and because they're going together with a few other people I'll talk about later, they will almost always be near one another. Except M disappears off a lot and no one knows why. So later in the story, I have plans for some flashback chapters in M's POV, and things will happen when he disappears. But no more talk about the future, because I really don't want to give too much away, because I want to share enough to where people are still interested in reading it, but don't share too much to where people already know most of what's going to happen. So why should they even read it? This ref sheet was definitely one of the simplest ones in terms of the process. Later on, I will have been trying to do lots of new things, so the art will be a little different to watch, which I hope you guys still enjoy, even if it's different. But this speed paint is wrapping up, which means it is time for my next character. Let's trot on over after a quick background change and a few more words on the ref sheet to my next OC, a servitor whose name is Camila. This next character, like I said, is a servitor named Camila. If you don't know what a servitor is, it's essentially just a deer centaur, so instead of horse body, it's a deer body. Camila originated from a simple drawing of her that I made a few months ago. It was her standing in a forest with lots of mist and some light rays coming from the tree tops. It's definitely not my favorite or the best piece of art I've made, but it always fills me with joy and when I see it because I think of the fond memories that I had while making it. I thought that what I made was absolutely amazing and that it looked almost perfect. Well, not really, I'm lying, but I still thought it looked really good. It's pretty good, to be honest, but I can definitely do better now, and it's only been a few months since my art looked like that. It's so crazy to me to see how much I've improved over the span of just a few months. I kinda owe it to Jinja Ninja OWO, or June. They really impacted my art when I got pretty into them at first, about a year and a half ago. Before then, I knew of them, but didn't really watch them all too much. It was the Apollo creation video that they made, oh my god, 9 months ago? I was there when that video came out. 9 months. Wow. Just wow. But like I was saying before I got hit with the bombshell of how long that video was made, that Apollo video kind of changed the way I saw my characters, and once the Prism videos came out, I finally realized I could do much more than just drawing my OCs occasionally. They had kind of taken over my life for a little bit, but because I got really busy, I drifted away. But these rough sheets definitely got me back into the swing of drawing my Blorbos again. And I know we already had a real talk earlier, but I need one more. Just one. Maybe one. But anyways, I've had kind of a bad relationship with my sketchbook recently. I would hide it and my drawing tools to make sure I wouldn't feel bad about not drawing in it. I would try to draw, but I just didn't like what I was drawing. So I slowly shifted over to drawing almost completely digitally. But something has brought me back to my child, my beloved baby sketchbook, something called K-pop Demon Hunters. Okay, real talk over, but I really just wanted to mention this movie a bit because, oh my flippity jib jobs, this movie was amazing. Have any of y'all seen Gentry Chow? Well, I thought K-pop Demon Hunters was gonna be just a bad ripoff of that show. I also originally did think it was a show, though, which, I mean, it was supposed to be. But anyways, this movie blew me out of the park. I went to this movie thinking it was going to be a bad ripoff, but oh man, was I wrong. I hadn't watched the movie a bit after it came out, and then boom, it started flooding my YouTube feed with videos talking about how amazing it was. I didn't watch them, of course, because spoilers. But when I tell you that since the first time I have watched the movie, I have rewatched it so many times and I cry almost every single time. You don't know how wild that is for me. For one, I'm really bad at watching movies. I would be on my phone while watching a movie because I just couldn't focus on it long enough. And two, I never cry watching movies. Never. I am emotionless and cold when I watch a movie, even if it's so emotional and sad, and even when I want to cry, I physically can't for some reason. And I am emotional. I cried way too much, man. So me being like this is kind of weird. But even just barely seeing that last scene with Jinu and Rumi, I tear up so bad every time. It's wild. But you might remember that earlier I said it got me back into sketchbooking. How, you may ask? Fan art! I haven't drawn much, but just going into my sketchbook willingly and enjoying what I was drawing and just enjoying drawing in general was just really huge for me. I kind of talked all over Camila's speed paint, with other things, which I'm really sorry about. So let me just mention a few things about her and the art. For Camila's rough sheet, I didn't do a full body front and back view because I thought front and side view would be better for people to reference off of. I did draw 3 faces, though, to recompense for not drawing the back. Also, Camila is really motherly and the quote-unquote mom friend of the group. Everyone is her child and she loves taking care of them and literally has everything for literally any occasion. But it is time to move on to the next character, who is Camila's girlfriend, silly little Opal. Okay, so you know how I talked about the fact that Aaron wasn't my favorite or funnest to draw, and that title went to another, said silly little cat guy? Well, she is said silly little cat guy. Her name is Opal. She was really fun to draw. In my opinion, I thought I would have a rough time because I can't draw animals very well, and she has cat ears and a tail along with crazy sharp cat nails and some fur poking out of her shirt and stuff. I do want to talk a bit about Spark for just a second to explain something, but I will go back to Opal just a minute. So, Spark is based off of classic Dungeons & Dragon worlds with my own little spin on it. For any D&D nerds out there, y'all know the character classes. Y'all know how they're normally choosable. Well, I changed that. Classes are now based off of your family lineage and will determine the land you live in. See, I have Antheim, which is the name of the world that these creatures live in, split into 13 different lands. The more prosperous and powerful you were, the more land you had. At a time, these 13 lands lived in peace and harmony with one another, living freely in whichever land they wanted, not constrained by their class. But one day, the small amount of warlocks that lived in Antheim came together to become an unstoppable ruling force. They divided Antheim into 13 different lands, and each creature of each class would be separated by it. Each land grew far more distant from one another, creating their own traditions, cultures, and customs. They even had their own gods. Well, God. Each class had their own god, who was essentially the ruler of each land. The god would give their people special gifts that had to do with their class, and so the people thrived. Of course, the warlocks still ruled over them all, enforcing taxes and taking more things from certain classes which they thought were weak. But what does this have to do anything with Opal, you might be asking? Well, each class is separated, right? Well, they have their own specific clothing aesthetics. It took me way too long to think of that and to research everything for it, but I'm content with my decisions. Opal's design is one of my favorites, and her clothing helps a lot with that. Opal is a rogue, and I have decided that rogues have the skater aesthetic. So their clothing is just very cool in my opinion, and yes, I did just do all that lore dropping to talk about Opal's outfit. But there's more to Opal than just her outfit. Opal is a bounty hunter from the Rogue Land who's dating Camila while she's off at school. It's actually kind of forbidden to love or date anyone who's not in your class, so they're risking years of jail time for their love. Opal is just a really cool character in my opinion, especially personality-wise. You might assume that they're pretty aggressive and get angry easily, but you'd be wrong. Opal is very nonchalant and a lot of the time is just very chill, both in combat and while hanging out. But Opal is also very protective of the things she loves. Like Camila. If you mess with Camila, then you will have to go through rock-hard, angry, strong Opal. It's spooky, and a lot of people don't trust her or are scared of her for those reasons. Not Camila, though. Camila was running away from her home for reasons I won't yet explain, but ran into Opal while she was doing their job. Camila was obviously frightened and looked like a deer in headlights, but it wasn't because of Opal. It was because Camila almost got hit by a truck. Yeah, there are trucks in this world. A lot of human technology is in Anthime, but is powered by magic rather than electricity, or whatever they're powered by in real life. But anyways, Opal saved Camila and let her stay over at her place while Camila explained why she was all the way over in the Rogue Lands. They're separated by 3 different lands. By the way, just so you know, Camila had said that she had an old relative who was a rogue and was offering her a place to stay for the time being. But Camila didn't know where they lived. Opal helped find them, and it turns out that they live very close to where Opal lives. So while Camila was hiding out illegally, Opal and Camila started hanging out until the point where they started dating because they realized they liked each other much more than most people are to their best friend. Then, Camila got accepted into this fancy school for people with enhanced magic, and Opal had to stay apart for Camila until her winter break. Or so she thought. Well, remember the fact that a bunch of people are going to go on this quest with Aaron and Em? Well, Camila is one of them. The first 5 party members will be students in the school that Aaron and Em go to. The other 2 characters in the school are the last 2 I'll be showing in this video. Other than them, I have 2 characters I didn't make ref sheets for because I got burnt out and had art block. But as I was saying before, there are 3 characters who won't be at the school and who are going to be in the main party, and Opal is one of them. The party of 5 have to journey to 6 different lands. At the first 3 lands, they discover the 3 other party members according to a prophecy given by the Sibyl sisters, which is kind of my take on the Grey sisters from Greek mythology. Sibyl means prophet. It's a name actually, and so I decided to have Grey sisters, but I didn't want to call them the prophet sisters or the Grey sisters. So yeah, but I love Greek mythology, but it's time to go to the next character, Caleb. So this next character is my baby boy, my son, my child, my silly little guy, Caleb. He's my biological son, by the way. He's a dragonborn that comes from a long family line of strong sorcerer dragonborns. Most of his family is very confident and headstrong, and Caleb isn't. He's extremely shy and anxious and will get scared from about everything. He's only really close to one person because of this, and this person is Camila. She's very friendly and so freaking patient. So she's able to tolerate and understand Caleb, unlike many other people. I just want to say that Caleb is so different from his original design that I made once while I was just doodling in my sketchbook because I wanted to draw an emo guy. I'll put it up on the screen. Not the one that I did a tour of, and this was in my first sketchbook. Not the one that I did a tour of, it's the one before that. Please check that video out, by the way, I'd really appreciate it. The only thing they have in common now is their name. OG Caleb was rude, arrogant, emo, and misunderstood. Caleb now, though, is shy, kind, but easily scared. He loves books and writing. It's his passion, but his family doesn't understand him very well. Actually, wait, they're both misunderstood. Speaking of OG Caleb, I literally only drew him once in that entire sketchbook. I can hardly call him an OC. It took me until page 20 of my second sketchbook to finally draw him as a dragon for the story. I basically was just like, I like the name Caleb, yoinked it, and slapped it onto Caleb 2.0. I don't have much about Caleb on lore right now, but the second I figured out how I wanted to draw him, he immediately became my baby boy. He's so silly, and I just love him so dang much for absolutely no reason. I will figure out his lore eventually and mayhaps spill a little bit of that silly little trauma juice onto him. Just a smidge. I totally won't pour the entire bottle of trauma juice on him. Not at all. What made you think that? Also, I just want to say, I know this video is going to come out about a week late. It's just this week I've been so busy. I'm very sorry, but I hope you all are enjoying this video so far. I may need another week to catch up soon, but I also have to stop procrastinating and make some extra videos for when I'm actually too busy and to also get my dang videos out on time. I do have a musical video planned of me doing a cover of a song, but if something doesn't work out, then I might do a gaming stream of Cookie Run Kingdom or Genshin Impact, because I love these games. On the topic of Genshin, I'm also planning to make a video where I make some Genshin characters using some of the unused character mashups that aren't in the game currently, because I did the math, and I made a chart. There are 1,555 character combinations, and there are only 100 characters in Genshin so far, excluding the Traveler. As I was saying before, though, I have a lot of things to work out with Caleb, and I have an idea of a future video where I design the parents and the family of my OCs. I think a video like this would be very fun and would possibly speed up the background process for a few of my characters. Just mayhaps, we never know. Sorry for ranting about a lot of video ideas, but I don't know much about Caleb's lore, and I just want y'all to know that I actually have some content planned for the future, so y'all know that I'm not just sitting around brainstorming all day. I'm working, I swear. I do have a bit more to talk about with Caleb, so please stick around. He was a very interesting design for me. I don't draw animals very often, and when they do, they look bad. But the second I drew him for the first time, I realized that I had a lot of fun drawing him, and it didn't look bad. I had the same experience with Opal and Camila. I thought their animal parts would be too hard to draw and that I would hate drawing them, but it was actually the opposite. I love drawing deer bodies after I did a few studies, and Opal was my favorite rough sheet I drew for our fight. So it turns out that trying something new can be fun and you may enjoy it more than you think. But it's time to move on now to the last character, Hilda. So, this is the last character I ended up drawing a rough sheet of. Her name is Hilda, she's blind, and she's a cleric. Okay, so I do want to say something about her, but it might sound a little, just a tad rude. Hilda has always been my reject character. In a way, she was the character I had the hardest time with. I could never figure out what I wanted her to look like, and so her now is kind of just an amalgamation of traits that my other characters don't have. I still love her. She was just a little difficult for me. I think she's very pretty nonetheless, but she's just a bit different. All of my characters are in some way, shape, or form part of the LegitIbaqua community. That's LGBTQ plus community, just so you know. As she was just always an ally until I decided that she would be an ally until she realized she was bi. It's kind of like Imogen from the Heartstopper show, and I feel kind of bad about that because Imogen wasn't really my favorite character, but I still love Hilda. She's blind. She was born that way. No tragic accidents here. She's a cleric, and so the aesthetic that she has is preppy. I like the outfit I gave her. It's not too complicated, and I think that it's very important to make outfits recognizable, but also simple enough to be able to dry it quickly over and over again. I might add a word or something to her shirt, though. Along with Hilda being my reject character, this recording is also the shortest, and I spent the shortest amount of time on her ref sheet. It was only 5 hours compared to the others that were in the range of 7 to 14 hours. I have lots of ideas on what I'm gonna do with her character, though. I think her being blind is gonna add a lot of challenges to the quest, but also, each of my characters has a main flaw. Each character has a different flaw, except I haven't really figured out Hilda's yet. But I do have ideas, and ideas are very important to have. The flaw is something that I want the characters to face during their quest, and I want them to have a very important moment with something like that about their flaw. But me not immediately thinking of what Hilda's can be can help me a lot with some of the story. In a way, I can be more versatile. I have to thank Hilda because I won't be locked on to one thing from the very beginning. So in a way, I just had Hilda for being a very hard to pin down character. But that will have to wait as I have almost finished with this ref sheet. But I will show all of them on the screen after this recording is done. Almost finished with this ref sheet. I hope you like this video, and I will show off all the ref sheets for here on the future content. I really hope that you liked this video and that you will stick around for more content in the future. For now, check out these. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great morning, noon, afternoon, or night.